Hello out there, all you wonderful people. This is Andre, the Game Idea Guy. Thank you once again for lending me your time and your ear listening into another Gamer's Thoughts discussion. And I do apologize to people that usually regularly listen to me through Anchor as well as YouTube. I've been kind of busy building my TikTok page, which is actually now over 400 followers, which I didn't think would work, but apparently it did. So I've been working on that, trying to build that platform up. But that doesn't mean I'm just going to fully ignore the other stuff. I just kind of dedicated the week to that one because there's going to be stuff on there that is separate from my normal gaming content on Anchor and YouTube. Just like Anchor is going to have my specified questions that people either respond on Anchor with or on my Discord, that's where those questions will be answered. And I'm doing like little meme stuff on TikTok, as well as sometimes diving into some of the geek stuff that I run across. So I'm doing that on TikTok, and there's still going to be gaming related stuff there, but it's just a little bit more diversified. And YouTube is going to be YouTube, what I kept it for. So now that I've got that ramble out of the way, okay, here's a question I don't think anyone really asks. At least not a lot of people that are hyped up for the Xbox Series S and X and the PS5. Could they have been built cheaper? And I mean built cheaper and still get the same desired effect, if not one-to-one, at least very close. And the answer to that question is, yes, children, it could have happened. Now, someone's going to say, how, Andre? You're not a tech head. You don't know about this stuff. No, I'm not a tech head. But I do follow, and I do pick up on things pretty decently. And from at least the people that I know that are reputable in tech, agree with what I'm going to say for the most part. Now, there's probably going to be a couple people that don't agree, and they'll have their reasoning as to why. And it's more than likely going to be, well, it's not a one-to-one thing. It's not going to work exactly the same. But here's what I'm going to propose. Microsoft and Sony, well, Microsoft specifically, because Sony didn't do this with the PS4. I think they didn't have EDRAM or SRAM. I think was the Wii U had EDRAM, Xbox One had SRAM. But that whole little cache, that little pocket cache that they could have used, if Microsoft had expanded that for the Xbox Series X, instead of just jumping to not DDR4, not GDDR4, but because they could have still used that RAM, and they probably would have made everything even faster. That was how PlayStation negated that. They did the GDDR4 RAM. Was it GDDR4? At this point, I don't remember fully. I meant to talk about the SSDs, and I don't know why I went to the RAM. That was an accident, but still. The things that they're using the SSD for in the console, they could have still had a hard drive in there. And the speeds wouldn't be the same as an SSD. We all know that. The read speeds are not the same. But if they decided to go the route of having EDRAM or SRAM along with a hard drive, like say they expanded the pool of it. I think, what was it, the Wii U and the Xbox One both had 32 megabytes. If they had expanded that, now I don't know how expensive that would have been for them, but I'm pretty sure it's cheaper with that combination of, we'll have this special RAM cache here and use it with a hard drive. And hard drive technology is getting faster read speeds due to the work that's been happening with SSDs. The programming and coding that's being used with SSDs to allow them to, one, be faster, and for you to be able to have more access to the onboard storage also works for hard drives, which are cheaper, and you have more space utilizing them. So to say it in simple terms, all of the stop and resume stuff and how fast the games load and all that could have still been done without utilizing an SSD. And SSDs are more expensive. The technology is more expensive to use. That's why you have an extremely expensive set of PS5 SSDs that people have to pay for, and then they have to try to swap them out when they're afraid to open up a computer. I mean, even though Microsoft's method is still cheaper than Sony's, there would have still even been a cheaper route to go had they stuck with the SRAM. Now, somebody's going to say, well, that would have put more work on the development studios. Not a whole lot more. Because to be honest, when Mark Cerny did that talk about how the PS5 is supposed to work, and you can clearly tell developers are still working against the system with some of the issues that we're hearing about. If they were to program the way that Mark Cerny was talking about in the first place, that still would have worked. The problem is they don't want to change their methods of developing and coding games, which is why we end up having performance issues the way we do. I'll be honest with you, because that's one of the reasons that if companies would have worked with the Switch first as their baseline and then build up from there, it would still work the same way. But they don't want to change their developing methods to make them more efficient. That's why when Unreal put that demo out and they showed you what they could do with it, it's literally working against the architecture of the PS5 and the Xbox Series X. So in the long run, it honestly is just less efficient. Now, yeah, you'd have to lay some groundwork to get it going, but it would create efficiencies that would allow games to run better. And all of this goes back to the fact that they could have still done it without having to use the SSDs. Now, maybe the SSD method would have been slightly faster. But I'd argue that, hey, you put in EDRAM or SRAM, and again, I think that, again, the Wii U and the Xbox One both had 32 megabytes. Say they quadrupled that and bumped it to 128. That's a lot of open real estate people don't understand. It might be megabytes, but it's just processing the information. It's just a holding space for information to be loaded up. So if you have the immediate information that needs to be loaded quicker put there and all of that's popped up, you can still slow feed the other information in, and it would still get the same desired effect. That's the point I'm making. It could be off a little bit, but it wouldn't be so drastic that a lot of people would know the difference. And in the long run, I mean, again, there'll have to be somebody to correct me on how much that would have cost, but I don't think it would have cost as much as the SSDs that they started out with. I think that they could have replaced that with that. And on top of that, that means external hard drives, if used, could have been used to run Xbox Series X and S and PS5 games. You wouldn't need a specific form of storage in order to run them. And again, on the back end, this also makes the games work more efficiently on the Switch, because the Switch is a whole different setup, but it's about maximizing how efficient the information is run. Like, it can't just be on the physical side of things, it also has to be on the digital side, the coding side of it. And that's what I'm meaning. I mean, maybe I'm not explaining it the best because it's a multi-tiered thing, but I think that if somebody listens to what I'm saying and they kind of put all the components together, it breaks down to Coding efficiency, which would make games load and run faster from the SSDs, would also do the same thing for hard drives, because hard drive technology is getting a boost from the work that's being done with SSD technology. It's not the exact same level. I'm not going to claim that it is. But if you had the helper of EDRAM or SRAM, it would be near the same level of quality, and it will cost less money. So that means essentially that the Xbox Series X and S and the PS5 could have all been cheaper priced consoles than they are, or if Microsoft and Sony were smart, they could have manufactured them for less cost and made more money off of them, which would have meant less money lost per console sold for them. Now, I mean, again, I'm not saying that I'm wholly right, but it's just putting the pieces together that I do understand, and hopefully I'm on the right track. Now, if I'm wrong, quite clearly I would like for someone to correct where I made the mistake. But I believe I'm pretty much in the right neighborhood here. And it kind of makes me wonder if there's a company out there that's smart enough to do this, that could just, like one of the bigger companies out there, like one of the bigger tech giants out there, like maybe even Samsung, if they were smart, they could drop a console with this configuration I'm talking about and get the same perks that Microsoft and Sony get from using an SSD, and it'd be cheaper costing and more efficient for their customers. Again, I'm just spitballing the idea here because at least what I have seen leads me to believe this. And I don't remember which one of the Liveness channels it is. I think it might have been a Tech Quickie thing. I can't be too certain. It could have been Tech Quickie. It's either Tech Quickie or Liveness Tech Tips. It's one of those two. And they've got like 4 or 5 channels. But I'm pretty sure that, again, if I'm on the right track, somebody will let me know. If I'm on the wrong track, somebody will let me know. But if that's the case, there was better ways to do this. And I think the only thing that really drew people in with the SSDs was just because they were SSDs. And we heard so much about the PC market using SSDs for that period of time. Everybody got up on it. Well, SSDs make the game better. No, they don't. They don't. It's a storage medium that just lets you read and write faster. But it also has a lower shelf life, which is another thing to consider. Hard drives have a longer shelf life, at least as currently goes, than SSDs. And all of the work that they were doing to extend the efficiency and life of SSDs also extended the efficiency and life of hard drives. If anyone's understanding. That's my major point. So if you have a higher efficiency hard drive and you pair it with something that acts as a buffer, which does exactly what the SSD speed does, then it would work the same way. All it is just an additional buffer for speed. That's it. Like that's legitimately it, and it just costs less. So, I mean, again, I could be wrong. I'm not going to claim to be right, but I think that I am leaning towards the right direction with this. Anyway, anyone can decide to debunk me on this or not. I don't really care. I'm more about gaining knowledge and kind of putting the thought and idea out there to see where it falls. Now, again, if I'm incorrect, anyone can let me know and let me know why, but explain why for me, so I have a better idea as to how it's supposed to be handled. So, like, I'm not going to claim to be the tech guy. I'm not that. If anything, I am, as my name stands, the idea guy. I'm the guy that comes up with the concept, and you need the other guy to tell me how they can make it happen. I'm just trying to bounce the idea off of what I've heard and different things I've read to see if maybe, just maybe, I'm right. But that's it. Thank you guys very much for listening. Keep your eyes and ears up for more stuff from me. And until the next time, enjoy your games and peace out, everybody.